youth interested and into agriculture. But most of the policies have failed for some reasons. Now, the major reason is okay. The most is corruption, but then it's because the government is trying to do something when instead it should be the private sector trying to do
All
something.
right.
So in other words, for the government to support the private sector to do it, not trying to do it. So say you want agriculture to start, you think of incentives that you create that will make people want to go into agriculture, like putting a high tariff on importation of food, and then giving tax holidays and tax incentives for locally produced food. Maybe could even consider subsidizing. Then,
well, I believe that is already majorly done in terms of the importation fee and then the tax holiday, especially in the north, in Benue or in Borno and some other states. So I think that's already in place.
yes, then there are still things, lack of this agric extension offices are basically, I don't know whether are they underfunded or they are just not working. Now, if the extension offices are not working, research is done in schools cannot be translated in the field because there's no avenue to convey findings from university to
All
the
right.
field. That's so agric extension offices need to be revitalized.
Okay. Well, you have very, very good points here, and
People
then
who either want
we'll get back to this because I was just informed that the facilitator just got into the group. Now, we're going to be having Mr. Folorunsho Aliyu. Mr. Folorunsho Aliyu is the group managing director at Telenet Nigeria Limited, with multiple outstanding awards and honors like the CMC from Institute of Management Consultancy, an alumni of Lagos Business School. Mr. Folorunsho Aliyu, fondly called FLS, started his career at Telenet in 2014. He's a mentor and advisor at Ventures Capital for Acceleration Platform. He mentors young entrepreneurs, giving them the access to the right tools and drivers to impact the world. He's also a mentor at Tech Expert and Venture Platform. So we're going to receive Mr. Folorunsho Aliyu right now. Please, sir, you are allowed to take the floor if he's in.
Okay, I think he just stepped out briefly again. He's still trying to come in. So maybe you would just watch the people, just watch the participants to see when he comes back in again. So I guess maybe you just continue the conversation till he gets in again. But just keep your eye on the
participant.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so Augustine, we can have you again. And maybe I'll be taking notes of what you're saying because you are hitting some solid points. And please, everybody, feel free to join the conversation. If you feel that he's saying something that has already been done, you just lift your hands and then we speak to it, okay? All right, let's go.
All right, so I stopped at the agriculture offices.
Yes.
And after that, there's need to incentivize people to go into, all the value chains involved in agriculture, especially in the pre-upstream, that's irrigation, fertilizer, purchasing, tractors. Those places are usually neglected, especially irrigation. Now, if irrigation is neglected at least at that large scale in Nigeria,
Sorry, Augustine, I'm sorry to just barge into you. While Augustine is talking, not everyone has completed yesterday's post-session evaluation form, despite all the begging that we begged on the group. So as Augustine is talking, if you haven't completed the post-session evaluation form, kindly do that right away. As Augustine is talking, please do that. Thank you. You have the floor.
Before Augustine goes on, Juwon, you have your hands up. Do you want to say something or you want to counter something that Augustine has said?
Okay, yeah, I actually wanted to say something.
All right.
Yeah, so if you said if I'm the Minister of Agriculture, right, what would I do to... Okay, so first of all, I think
you know that, right? It's not of a state. You're not the commissioner. You are in charge of the whole of the country. All right.
Okay. So what I would do is we'll have sensitization programs that's making the youth prepared, telling them about agriculture, making them understand that, okay, agriculture is not just for old people, because most of the times the youth here, they think agriculture, okay, is something the old people do. It's a dirty job. No, I can't get into agriculture, stuff like that. So we'll sensitize them about that. Then secondly, we would make opportunities like this. That's like the Farmers for the Future now. It's an opportunity whereby the youth can partake in agriculture and make them understand that, yes, okay, see, agriculture is actually something you can do as a youth, as an entrepreneur. So also opportunities like this too would also bring them up. Then we also make funds available, because okay, sensitizing them and telling them that, okay, it's not only for old people, you can also partake in it. And then there is no fund like to carry out the agricultural tax. So I also make sure that there's funds to support and to bring the youth up in that aspect of agriculture. So that's I think what I'll do for my own end here.
Yeah, and actually to speak to it, Augustine, you were mentioning the fact that they could do incentives and do all those things, but don't you think the older farmers will bully the young farmers or those that are just entering into the market and, take, all the incentives and things that are coming in because they're already used to the system? Can you hear me? Oh, I don't think Augustine, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Do you want to speak to that?
Augustine can't hear. He's been saying he might need to log in and log back.
Right. Can we have Mr. Suleiman speak about, the question asked? If you're the Minister of Agriculture, how would you intend to facilitate youth participation in agriculture? What would you do specifically, maybe in terms of policy or action steps, as it were?
The other people's hands are raised, though. Tawhid, Alimi,
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so thank you very much. First thing I will do if I'm opportune to be the Minister of Agriculture in this country is, just like some of the participants have earlier said, we need some policy. But to my own end, we've had enough policy in this country that are not working. What I will just do is with the available resources that I have at my own end, I will try to go into a production and make realistic. For example, now, if you have enough resources and fund, the limited fund I have, if I want to go into production or go into that production of crop, and to some extent, the ministry will be producing maybe annually some tons of crop, or maybe it's animal we are rearing or anything we are doing, we have something that will be tangible to the factory. So by so doing, because I find out that in this country, we only have all of these things in audios, just like we do call it audio money, audio something, audio policy. Out of those, the ministry are not producing anything. If you intend to produce something, okay, now by producing, the youth themselves, the youths that we are trying to encourage themselves, they will be saying that, okay, this is what these people are producing. So by so doing, we now draft a plan that how we can now involve many or other youth as well. Plans like, okay, this Farmer for the Future grant that has been drawn is a very good one. If you have programs like that, that will still facilitate the ones that the ministry itself is doing, that will enable us to see, okay, good, this is the future we have in agriculture. And just like some of our participants have said, some extension officers, there are a lot of research that has been done in schools, all those things. We will go there, tap those resources and make them, put them into practice. Because I found out that in Nigeria, we only believe in what we see. If you can see that, okay, this is something these people are doing, people will be encouraged to do it. And to the government side, by so doing, the policy that will be so enacted, for example, now this issue of importation, ban on importation or something. Hello, sir.
Can you hear me? All right.
Yes,
so our back in, he had issues, but he's in now. So we'll have to hand over the floor to him. Take
All right, no problem. No problem.
Yeah. So as I have introduced Mr. Aliyu before, he came in. So please, sir, you can have the floor, sir.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Sir.
Good morning, sir.
Morning, sir.
Apologies for the break. Good morning. Apologies for the break in transmission. I'd logged in about 30 minutes before 10, so as to be sure that everything was on point. But as with every technology, when it was exactly 10 o'clock and I started speaking, I realized that my camera wasn't coming on. And I tried to go back again, but it's still the same issue. So instead of wasting your time, let's continue. My name is Folarin Aliyu. Once again, I apologize for taking your time because time is life. And I don't believe in joking with people's lives. So forgive me, please. Thank you for spending time with us today. Can you all hear me clearly?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, we can.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So it's very important to lay the background. Incidentally, I was listening to your contributions in the background when you were asked if you become the Minister of Agriculture, what would you do differently? And forgive me for saying this, but I think most of the people I listen to still do not understand the real issues. I guarantee the few people I heard that if you do the same thing you say you want to do, you will still not succeed because you are not looking at the root cause or the root causes. I heard someone say it's corruption, and one of the problems is corruption. No, corruption is a symptom. It's not the problem. And today, one of the things I'll be taking us through is actually to look at things from the perspective of understanding the foundation. For those of you who did sciences, there's something called the first principle. If you understand the first principle of proving anything, whether you have a calculator or not, whether you have a machine to calculate or not, if you understand the first principle, you can always build up from there. So I am more interested in the foundational principle, because when the chips are down and there's nothing to be, you don't have any of the equipment or tools, you can always do well, because principles are the things that make things grow or work for you. So I'll be dealing a lot more with foundational issues. And forgive me if it sounds like there are things I know already, or there are things that any right-thinking person should know. The reality is most of the problems in this world are things that are very foundational. But we all don't want the foundational issues. We want the razzmatazz. And that's why problems keep, festering and getting bigger. So I am aware you all started the business model canvas yesterday. Am I right? So you know what the layout of a business model canvas is?
No, we have not. We haven't started the business model canvas yesterday. Yesterday was just a refresher. This is the first business model canvas. Yes.
Oh,
yes,
boy. Wow. Okay. In that case, may I ask the moderator if he or she can help me put up a business model canvas template? I won't explain it, but just quickly give a brief of what we are looking at, so that when I start my own segment, it will not be out of sync. I assume that was done yesterday, so forgive me.
It's possible, sir.
Okay, can you help me just flash for everyone to see what the template looks like? I would explain some of the things. I'm sure other people will take it deeper. I just give them a layout, and then I will pick my segment so that they see the whole, and then we drill into the specific.
Okay, let me bring it up right now.
Thank you very much. Now, while he's bringing it up, business model canvas is actually a tool that helps the different people involved in a business to, from a holistic perspective, see what is involved in ensuring that the business works. What do I mean by that? Back in the day, I don't know how many of you remember this, they will tell you to go and write a business plan. Business plan, you will do things like, analysis of your competition. You will do Michael Porter's 5 forces. All these things I'm saying, you can check them out later if you don't know about them, but I'm not talking about them. That's why I'm not going deep into them. You know, you will do your SWOT analysis, you will do your SWOC analysis, you will do your tools, you will do your financial model, you do all those things. But it's a bulky solution, I mean, it's a bulky process, such that, you know, people get bogged down in it to the detriment of even the main project or the main business they want to do. Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. You know, they get so bogged down with it that they even lose sight of the business. So half of the time, people now begin to contract other people to write business, to write a business, what do you call it? To write the business plan for them. But that is the beginning of failure. If somebody writes your business plan for you, there's no way you can do the business and do it properly. If it happens that the business succeeds, it's not because you follow the plan. It's because you knew some things about it before. So most businesses used to fail because people, you know, either you get bogged down writing the business plan. The business should start immediately. Sometimes it takes you 3 years to start before you even finish your business plan. And then after a while, there's this company. If I just listened to the gentleman yesterday, I can't remember his name. Alex, what's his second name now? That's the main guy. Decided to come. God bless you, Sir Walter. Yes, he and his team came up with this. In fact, after that, they've gone on to do proposition canvas. They've gone on to do what they call a value proposition canvas and all that. So, but this is what they came up with and said, you know what? At a glance, as a startup, if you are able to simply put this canvas in front of you and realistically answer each of these questions, and you put together this template and you answer them properly, and at a glance you take a look at it and you follow through, your business should be on its feet in no time. Now, it is by no means an exhaustive solution, but believe me, it's a fantastic first start, and it helps you to put your thinking in a very holistic and easy to run model, such that your business can start. You just take a look at it. Hey, what do I need to do this? If you're able to answer those questions realistically, you can run with the plan and do any form of business. So the first thing is, they'll say, why don't you start with your customer segment? Who are the people that you want to even reach out to? If I'm selling moi moi, the people I want to sell my business to is different from somebody who is selling air conditioner. The person who is making Tesla, the people he wants to sell to are different from the customer types that a bank is trying to give money to. So your business is looking at a particular type of people. And if you don't know who those people are, or you know what defines them, then your business may even have failed before you even start. So what this canvas does for you, it helps you to, first of all, ask the right questions. 2, answer the right questions. 3, know what kind of questions not to ask, or to ask and make sure you provide the answers to. That is what this canvas does. You know, when you say, you have a particular, in fact, funny enough, this canvas is actually split into 2. On the right side, that is when you are looking at your customer segment, your customer relationship, your channels and revenue. And the value proposition is at the middle. When you look at the right hand side of the whatever, you are looking at where the money would be coming from. Then you look at the left hand side, where you have your key partners, you have your key activities, you have your key resources and cost structure. It talks a lot more about the interface between where your money is coming from and what may or may not be taking money away from you. So what's the word now? Visually, it's easy to look at and say, hey, if I split this down the middle, on the right hand side, that is how I expect money to be coming from. So I spend a lot of time looking at how money comes in. On the left hand side, these are things that may be taking money out, but for a good reason, because the money will come back on the right side. So, technically, look at it from that perspective. But this canvas helps you to see a holistic picture that if you're able to ask the right questions around this, and you're able to fill it out, at the end of the day, if you're able to fill it out and you have this canvas in front of you, you can follow it through for any business you are into and be able to deliver on your business. Now, as I said, is it an exhaustive solution? No, but believe me, it gets you off the ground and it gets you in the right direction if you do the work very well at the beginning. And that's what we want to do. I'm not going to go into which one comes first, which one comes second, which one is the third one and all that. I'm not going to go into that because as you have different people come in, they would delve into it. But suffice to say that I'm going to focus a lot more on the customer segment because that's the first thing. If you don't even know who you are selling to, you will end up making a lot of mistakes. And that is why customer segmentation is the first thing. It helps you to drive every other thing. If you get it wrong with your customers, if you get it wrong in understanding who your customers are, or what is even important to your customer, or how do you even segment them, if you get it wrong, every other thing may also be wrong because you'll be providing solution to, you'll be asking the wrong question. So someone once said that it is more important to ask the right question than to seek the right answer. I'll take that again. Someone once said that it is more important to ask the right question than to seek the right answer. Because the right question, more often than not, would lead you to the right answer. You may not like the answer, but you lead you to the right answer and you know what to do. But sometimes somebody may give you the right answer, but you don't even know to which question the answer is given to. And then you'll be running up and down. And that will not help you. So I want you all to put this canvas in your portfolio or in your toolkit. As people come up on board, I would hope that somebody would do an overview of everything. But I want to focus on the customer segment because we really don't have as much time. And I don't want to go into what other people will be talking about. So can we start properly?
Yes, we can.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So before we
I can't see the screen. The screen is just black. I can't see the canvas on the screen.
Same here, please.
Really? I can see.
Me too, sir. I cannot see it.
I can see it on my side. Can any other person see it?
Yes,
Initially,
I
wasn't
able to see it, but I went out and I came back in, and now I can see it.
Okay, maybe the other lady should please go out and come back in.
Okay.
Do you still want the canvas on, sir?
Yes, so that they can do references and all that. What do you think?
No, it's up to you, sir.
I think they should put it up so that they can, so that they can have reference and all that. Yeah, it's just for reference sake, so that they can always, or if you are all done with it, we can take it off. It's just for reference. Okay, so we want to start properly. Before you can even say you want to do a business model canvas, let's even see our understanding of what a business is. The beautiful thing is that Mr. Araromi and I had a session once, and you know, the way the man's mind works is really enigmatic. You know, he helped to define business in a way that it's difficult for you to argue with. So I will use his definition of business, so that if you are not even having a business in the first place, business model canvas is not your headache. So that because there's usually an assumption that I have a business, or I have an enterprise, or I have something that would scale. Yes, people may tell you that because sometimes people read into your business for you. So for example, let me say I see a young man who is doing something, and in my mind, because of my experience, I can see all the possibilities. So I assume that the person also sees all the possibilities. So I'm talking to him and talking other things as if he has seen it, but the man himself may not even have seen it. Maybe he has stumbled on something small, and he's just hoping that, oh, this one can grow. But me, that I've seen all those things, I'm speaking as if we're on the same page, but we're not. So I don't want to do that. I don't want to go with that assumption. I want us to go through the definition of what a business is. What must you see for you to say there's a business? Then we can now go into this. And like I said, this is a definition that I'm attributing to Mr. Segun Araromi. So let it be on notice that I'm not plagiarizing. So it defines business as when you have a group of people. Please, I want you to note each of these keywords. I hope you all have a notebook. When you have a group of people, that's the first thing, that have a problem, a need, or an aspiration. Again, where you have found a group of people that have a problem, a need, or an aspiration that they are willing to get rid of or attain. So if you have a problem, you want to get rid of it. If you have an aspiration, you want to attain the aspiration, right? That they are willing to attain, right? Are you listening to me?
Yes.
That they are willing to attain.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're either willing to get rid of or they are willing to attain. And to that particular problem, that you have a specific solution, or you have what you call a unique solution. I'm going to explain that later, because sometimes what is unique about it, I will explain it. That they have a unique solution, that you, the person I'm talking to right now, you have a unique solution to that problem or to that aspiration. You have a unique solution. And that those people are willing to pay to get rid of that problem or attain that aspiration. They are willing to pay for it. And this can be done in a sustainable manner. I'll take it again. There are 5 elements. Maybe you've checked it. Number 1, there's a group of people. Number 1, group of people. Number 2, there's a problem or an aspiration or a need on the table. Number 3, you, the participant on this table, you have a unique solution to it. Number 4, those group of people are willing to pay for it. And number 5, this is done in a sustainable manner. Those are the 5 elements. Now, if one of these elements is missing from whatever it is you are doing, you don't have a business. For example, if you don't have a group of people that are, okay, let me start from the back. If what you have is not a sustainable thing, at best, what you have is a deal. You know what you say, a deal, one-time deal. So for example, now, my uncle in the Ministry of Works tells me, oh boy, supply 50 chairs. Now, if my uncle lives there tomorrow, I cannot supply chairs again to the ministry. So that's a deal, it's not a business. So don't go and tell anybody I have a business. No, what you have is a deal. Because it is not a sustainable thing. Please, if I'm making sense, I would like for you to just indicate with a raise of your hand. But if you have any disagreement or so, I also like to know by either a chat or something so that I know you are hearing me. So if you remove the sustainability, if you remove the sustainability, what you have is a deal. I've had so many people that come and tell me, I just started a new business, and you ask them, say, somebody said we should just supply this here and all that, and I will make 50 million. Yeah, no problem. You make the money, but that's not a business. It's a deal. Number 2, if people are not willing to pay for it. So, for example, someone came to Kuje. There's one village near Kuje. Someone came to that place and said, people are going to they go to the stream early in the morning to go and fetch, especially children, before they go to school. That I will do a borehole for them. Once I do a borehole for them, and they will start to pay me 1 naira or 5 naira per morning before they go for every bucket, that I would have saved them the long trek to the river in the morning and all that. And he went around borrowing money to do the borehole. After he has done the borehole, he realized that people were passing his borehole in the village, and they will still go to the stream in the morning to go and fetch their water. He made noise and said, it will be cheaper for you, it will be whatever. Now lie. Sorry to say that, but the children refused to pay for the thing. Why? Number 1, there was no willingness to pay. So it was not a business. The children prefer to go to the stream because that is where boyfriend, girlfriend meet in the morning. SS3 student. It is in the stream they quickly meet in the morning before their parents send them to school. So why would they want to jeopardize that by going to the near stream? To go to your borehole in the morning. Number 2, parents did not believe they should pay any amount, not even 5 naira. Why? Their mindset is, what are these children for? If not to go and fetch water, why should I be paying for them again? That is spoiling the children. Go to the stream and fetch water. Now, Is it a right thing or a wrong thing? No, it's just that the man did not have a business. If he had asked the right question using this canvas, he would have been able to know that properly. So there was no willingness to pay. So he didn't have a business. Number three, if you do not have a group of people who have an aspiration or a problem to solve, then you also do not have a problem. You don't have a business. In fact, if there's really no problem on the table, you have to define what a problem is, even in the first place. And that's one of the things hopefully at the end we will talk about. You must be able to define what problem is or aspiration. The fact that you think it's a problem does not necessarily mean it is a problem for the group of people you are trying to sell to. So that means that what is problem to group A may not be problem to group B. And that is why it is very important to do your segmentation properly. That is why you must ask the problem, who am I selling to? That is where your customer segmentation comes in. It's a good way to segue into customer segmentation. Who am I selling to? That is the whole essence of your customer segmentation. Who am I selling to? Who is going to buy? Do you know why? There's something called willingness to pay. The fact that I can pay for something does not mean I am willing to pay for it. Remember, we talked about willingness to pay in the definition of business. If there is no willingness to pay, then you do not have a business. So there's no need to even say you want to do the customer segmentation. You must know first what is your business. The second thing is, who am I selling to? And the way to know that is to segment them appropriately. And that's why we're going into the customer segmentation. Now, for customer segmentation, I would like for us to know why, with all the stories I've said right now, I'd like to bring out some reasons why we are doing customer segmentation. Because if you don't know why you are doing something, it becomes a problem. But when you know why, as the issues come up, you know, okay, so because of this, I need to do customer segmentation. Number one thing is focus. So I'm going to why. I'll go back on my outline again. My first outline, I defined what a business is so that you understand whether you even have a business or not. Number two is going into what customer segmentation is. And I think I've defined that to say, it's simply, in a nutshell, customer segmentation is who am I selling to? That is just a simple whatever, but there's a definition from salesforce.com. Maybe I should read that to you. I don't necessarily like all these long definitions, but for your information, maybe I should define that for those of you who may be EFICOs, you know, as they say in school, EFICOs. For those of you who are EFICOs, let me do a proper definition from salesforce.com. It says customer segmentation is the practice of dividing a customer base into groups of individuals that are similar or specific ways relevant, so in specific ways relevant to marketing, such as age, gender, interest, and spending habits. I'll take it again, because I know I was fast. I'll take it gradually. Salesforce.com defines customer segmentation as the practice of dividing a customer base into groups of individuals that are similar in specific ways, relevant to marketing, such as age, gender, interest, and spending habits. If you did not get my definition, please let me know. So I assume everybody got it. Okay, good. That's by salesforce.com. But simply put, customer segmentation is simply saying, who am I selling to?
Please come again, sir.
Okay. Salesforce defines customer segmentation as the practice of dividing a customer base into groups of individuals that are similar in specific ways, relevant to marketing, such as age, gender, interest, and spending habits. I hope you got that.
Yes, thanks.
And for me, simply put, Customer segmentation says, who am I selling to? Or simply put, who is willing to spend money on my product or service? Or who should be buying my products or service? Does it make sense?
Perfect.
Okay, thank you. So before we go into the other parts, let us even talk about why. Because without a why, usually things are just a waste. So let's talk about why. I have a few whys here. I have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 reasons. There's a lot more, but I have about 5 reasons I have documented here, and I think makes it important to do your customer segmentation and spend time, proper time to do this. Else, it becomes a problem. Number 1 is focus. The truth is that resources would always be limited. No matter how much you think, no matter how rich you think you are, no matter how rich you get, resources would always be scarce, would always never be 100% enough. I'll give you an example. We all talk about Dangote being the richest man in Africa. Can you all guess one of Dangote's biggest problems in Nigeria today? It's people, human beings. And when I say human beings, Nigeria has close to 200 million people, right? But of those 200 million people, I'm not sure Dangote can get close to 500,000 people to do the kind of things he wants to do. So more often than not, Dangote has to pay a lot of money to non-Nigerians to come and do the work for him in Nigeria. So when I say resources, resources can be people, it can be money, it can be land, it can be anything that you need to produce something is what you call a resource. So sometimes you all think, oh, once you have money, it's all. No. One of the problems I found in Nigeria today is that resource is even more scarce than we all think, especially the human resource. America today is outsourcing most of its technical, or what you call the technologist-based solutions to China. Why? America does not have enough technologists, in quotes, based or technologists in the country. People who do fine machining. Because in America, most of the things they teach has more to do with the designing, the engineering. But in terms of the machining, the efficiency of those things, they don't teach it as much. So that's why the Apple, no matter what you do today, you say, Apple, bring all your job to America. It's going to cost them a lot more to have people trained that way than it is in China. Why? China has spent a lot of time teaching its people those basic stuff. So it is cheaper to do it there, not because there are no human beings, but it is the resource is actually in the human thinking. So no matter how much you have, you will not have enough resource. So that's why you need to focus. You cannot be everything to everybody. The amount of money, the amount of time, the amount of resource, other resource like human resource, land resource, produce resource, anything you have will not be enough to cater for everybody. So if you do not focus, have initial in what you are doing, it doesn't mean you cannot get to the others, but you can scale as you go along. If you do not focus, one, you would expend yourself. At the end of the day, a great idea may even die before it starts. And that is why you must do your segmentation first, because it helps you to get to the next thing, which is getting the biggest bang for your buck. That's number 2. Number 1 is focus. Number 2, it helps you to get the biggest bang for your money or for your time or for your effort. That is what I would call efficiency, where your output is far greater than your input. If I know that if I sell to, let me use your names now. Maybe that will help me to relate with you better. If I relate with Yetunde Boluwatife, and I say, oh, Yetunde, I'm giving you $20,000 to start something. And I go on to Jimeto Victor, and I say, Jimeto, I'm giving you $20,000. Both of you are doing farming. If Jimeto brings me $50,000 at the end of 1 year, and Yetunde brings me $25,000 at the end of the year, where do you think I will invest again? It's Jimeto, because he has given me bigger bank for my buck. Not because they are bad people, but at the end of the day, how do you become more efficient in what you do? So you put your buck in the one that gives you the biggest and best, and it doesn't necessarily have to even be in monetary terms. It could even be in customer acquisition. Maybe, for example, you say, okay, I'm putting this money, I want to acquire more people today because by tomorrow, those people will give me a lot of money. The other person may be focusing on, oh, I want the person that will give me the biggest money. But you're able to define and say, my focus is I want to acquire a lot more people. They may not be paying me today. I'll give an example. There's a company called Paycom. You all may know it as OPay. How many of you have heard of OPay? Okay. OPay spent a lot of time and money and energy acquiring customers. I'm sure you have heard of, you heard of O-Ride, O-Food, O this, O that. They were spending money to acquire customers, even though it didn't look like as if those customers were paying them so much. But guess what? Their plan from the beginning was our biggest money should go towards this customer acquisition. Why? Once you acquire them and you incentivize them, those people are spending on a daily basis. Now, OPay has acquired so much customers. I dare tell you that they are now one of the biggest people when it comes to mobile. In fact, they are number one in mobile money in Nigeria today. Why? They focused on what is important. They were more efficient in that area. So my point to you is, once you have focus, it helps you to get the biggest bang for your buck. It helps you to be very efficient. If you focus on everything or you don't do this well, you will get money, but guess what? It's not the best. It's not the most efficient way to get it. If you focus, let me give you an example. If I want to sell, if I have 20 tons to sell, and I want to sell 20 tons to 50 people, you know there's cost to my going to individuals to sell it. Or I get one person who buys the 20 tons off me. So do I want to spend energy and time going after 20 people to buy the 20 tons? Or I want to spend energy and time to one person who will buy it off me? You have to balance those two. Now, it doesn't mean one is right or one is wrong, but your focus will determine why you are doing that. Number 3 is what I call effectiveness. Now, there's a slight difference between efficiency and effectiveness. Efficiency has to do with when you put something in, something bigger comes out. Effectiveness means everything I am putting in is counting. That means if in efficiency, I can put 20 naira and 50 naira comes out. That is efficiency. Something bigger comes out. But effectiveness means before anything even goes into that project of creating value, I must have validated it to ensure that that thing will make a difference. And that's what this segmentation helps you to do. Where before anything even goes in, before you waste your energy and time on it at all, you have looked for a way to validate that this would make a difference. But if you don't spend time to do it, you just jump into it and start selling to A, B, C, D, E. Yes, out of A, B, C, D, E, which is 5, 2 of them may take, and you make a lot of money. But you have also wasted energy on 3, 4, and 5 that you did not have to. Am I making sense, please?
Yes, perfect sense.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Very good sense, sir.
Then I've talked about 3 now. Focus, efficiency, effectiveness. Then number 4, which is for me is very important, is learning, what I call systematic learning. When you focus on doing your business model canvas properly and you focus a lot on doing your customer base properly, one of the things it helps you to do is to have a base for learning. Now, we all think learning is not getting anything wrong. No, learning simply means you have a starting line to know whether something is right or wrong. So there are some basic assumptions you would have. And then there's something you can test your assumption against. Oh, I assume that, these people are my customer, for example. You have written them down. You have tried to say these are the characteristics of these customers, and then you are beginning to sell to them. But then as you are selling to them, is your assumption actually correct, or are your assumptions actually correct? You have a base to match them against. So you can say, I assume that these people will buy, but they're not even the ones buying. Somebody else is buying. Oh, okay. So tomorrow, you will not make the mistake of going to sell to those same people again. Or people who are going to work for you will not make the mistake of going to sell to you again. Well, that's one of the problems we have in Nigeria, where we don't have a learning base, where Everybody keeps making the same mistakes over and over again, from government to individual businesses to others, where somebody has made that mistake, he has learned from it, but there was no documentation of any sort for anyone to benchmark and say, oh, this was what worked for that person, or this was the thing the guy did that did not work, even though he appears successful today, but he had made some mistakes in the past that is now in his own repository, but nobody else knows about it. But if you have documented it and said, hey, at the beginning, these are the people we want to sell to, blah, 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 and all that. Now, as you are going along, some things will definitely not pan out the way you have set out. Some customers will not behave the way you have assumed they would behave. Why? It could be because of certain systemic change in the environment. It could be also because of some assumptions that are not deep enough. It could also be because of a defect in the things you put out. It could be as a result of your marketing strategy. It could be as a result of so many things. But if you do not even have a base to start, there's nothing to compare with. And as you are correcting your mistakes, you are documenting it, because sirs and ma on this table, you are not the only one that will run this business forever. The prayer is that these businesses succeed. But as they succeed, you will move on to bigger things. If the mistakes you made are not things, are things that other people coming behind you must keep making, your business will never grow. That means your business will be stagnant. So you've made the mistake, you moved to a bigger thing, you put somebody else behind you who will be the GM next, and he comes and he makes the same mistake you have made. It's only when you are there that I say, oh, don't do this, don't do that. But he doesn't even know why you're saying don't do that, because you never had a base from which you started from that was documented that you were following. So this gentleman comes again when he should be moving up and making times 3x, 10x, 15x. He's busy still making 1x. Why? He's repeating the mistakes you made. The customer that he was supposed to sell, that you thought would make money for you, because it made sense when it comes to logical, whatever. Oh, yes, these people should be able to buy from us. So you focus on them. But after like 6 months, you realize that, oh boy, these people are not spending. They're not interested. But you did not document it appropriately. You moved on. You now started selling to other people. Your guy comes and says, these people, we are not focusing on these people. We should be focusing on them. Meanwhile, these were the people you started with, and you stopped because you found out some things. Your GM comes again and says, why is your guy not focusing on the same people? And he goes back, spending money, energy, and time, focusing on the same people you have disconnected from because you found out some things. Am I making sense there, please? Or I'm just talking 9 to dozen?
Perfect sense, sir.
Perfect sense, sir.
Okay, thank you.
You're making sense.
So it gives you insight. That's where data analytics also come in. But before you can do analysis on data, you must first have data. And we all think data you must have a database, you must use an Oracle. No, data comes to you in all forms of ways and sizes. And it's about what you want to gather. So be very deliberate. This is one of the ways you are deliberate in actually gathering data to use in growing, optimizing, and cementing your business. And the final thing is your success base. What constitutes success for you? If you do not define at the beginning this customer base and all that, and see, hey, this works, so we must do more of it. This did not work, so we must define this as it did not work for us. So when people are talking about it, you have a success base that you can work with and say, no, we've worked with these people before. This will not work because of A, B, C, and D. So you have a base for defining what is success to you and what is not success. Those are the 5 reasons I can think of right now. I'm sure there's a lot more that I can think of right now for why it is important, first, to do this business model canvas before you start even going too deeply into spending money, energy, time, resources on your business, and more importantly, to focus on who your customers are or who your customers should be. So can anyone quickly tell me the 5 reasons why, or maybe add one more of your own? Let me start with Ifunanya Okpala. We cannot hear you.
Sorry, please come again.
I said I've given 5 reasons why it's important to do this customer segmentation and also to even look at the business model canvas holistically, but more importantly for your customer segmentation. Can you give me some of the reasons why it's important to do this business segmentation? I will call Augustine next.
Okay. One particular reason why I think it's very important to map out your customer segmentation is because we already know that people buy out of emotions. When you know a particular characteristic or a particular something about your segmented customers, you can better relate to their problem and talk to them in a language that they will understand, so that they'll see, okay, yes, this person knows what this person is talking about. This person feels my pain. This is the right person to go with. That kind of thing. So I feel like when we segment our customers into very narrow niches that we can work with, you can better relate to them on their own level. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. I see, Funaya, you are using some specific words. I will call them terminologies, which sometimes when we use those things can be a bit problematic. You've used the word like niche. It's not everyone that would have a niche. You know, if you knew the definition of the word niche, I will go into that later. But I want us to be, even though I agree with some of the things you said, I want us to be careful in some of the words we use or some of the things we've heard. And some of them I will try and clarify today, right? So that we don't end up making mistakes. Because, I mean, sometimes we've read some things and they make sense, but in reality, they're actually more confusing or they will end up detracting from us, you know? So I want us to be careful in terms of that. It's not everybody that will use a niche. Do you get my point? And we'll get into that later. But thanks for that. I really appreciate it. And you made a statement that a lot of people buy with emotion. Not necessarily. There's a segment that there's a business you are into that people you want to deal with are not those who do emotions. So if the kind of business you do, you already assume that people buy out of emotion, then you realize that you're not going to be successful because your customer should not be emotional buyers in a particular type of business. So if you are going for emotional buyers, you're already killing your business. Does it make sense, please?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. So let me call the next person. I already called Augustine, I believe. Quickly, Augustine.
Okay, so I think another reason why it's important to segment your customers is to identify if you have more than one customer base so that you can that have different needs, so that you can tailor different value propositions to each of the segments instead of generalizing and giving the whole market one particular value proposition.
Thank you very much. That's so on point. To know, first of all, you even need to know your customers, because if you are saying something to one group, in fact, I would give an example of that later when we begin to get into different types of segmentation and how it can become a big problem when you are saying the same thing to everybody. You end up reaching nobody. I'll give that example later. Thank you for that, Augustine. Does any other person want to say before we move on quickly? I see Tawheed. Go ahead, Tawheed, quickly, and then we'll move on.
Thank you, sir. The one point I want to add to it is the part of feedback. I believe that if we have people we are dealing with, it's so easy for us to know their assessment about our product and what we should possibly improve.
Thank you.
Then, sir, I have a question, but I think I will have to chill a bit to the point where we have opportunity to ask questions.
Okay, awesome. You can actually write your question down. Write your question, sorry. Maybe, or you pass it to anybody who has questions, as you remember them, because you may forget at the end. If you have questions, pass them to the moderator, and then he can collate everything. So instead of asking different, he can collate, or maybe he will call you to ask your question later, but he can collate while we are going on. So thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate the three of you that have spoken.
Sorry, sir, they can drop their questions on the chat box.
Okay,
so that
fantastic.
Once it's time, you can go there and answer them and answer them.
Okay.
So my send button is still not working since yesterday.
Okay, so put it in the WhatsApp group, right? Once you put it in the WhatsApp group, the admin will put it on the chat box for the facilitator.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So we now know a few of the whys, because the whys are important. So now let's go into this segmentation issue. Now, before we go into segmentation, I want to do a small deviation to explain something that a lot of people don't pay attention to. And I think it's also very important to differentiate between a consumer or user and a customer. Sometimes they are the same, but sometimes they are not the same. Can someone tell me a major factor for who you consider a customer? What makes someone a customer? Let me call Chino Nyerem. Okay, Chino Nyerem is not speaking. Okay, let me speak with Ojomo Adeyemi. He's also not speaking. Ojomo Adeyemi. He's not speaking too. Okay.
Please, if you make sure that you unmute your phone when your PC when you're talking. You might be talking and then we're not hearing because you are mute.
Okay. Okay, he's not speaking. Ikechukwu Chiamaka.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Good morning, ma'am.
Okay, you talked about the difference between a customer and a consumer.
Yes, I have not defined it yet. I have not stated it yet. I'm saying, can somebody help me? Do you know what it is? If you don't, no problem. I have not said it yet. I just want to get the house together. I haven't said it yet. There's only one major difference. Usually.
All right, from my own view, I think a customer is someone that is consistent.
Good.
That is consistent in purchasing things from you, while a consumer comes once in a while.
Okay. You've actually answered the customer, the consumer, not necessarily. Okay. Let me take one more person. Thank you very much, Chamaka. Jimeto Victor.
Yes, thank you
Hello,
very much. I believe, as you said, a customer is someone who patronizes you regularly, while a consumer are the end users of that particular product.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So, I take the words of late Dr. Benjamin Ishaku. He defined a customer, as someone who comes to you for their needs and services by custom. You know when you say our traditions and custom? Someone who comes to you for their needs by custom. I'll give you an example. I know most of you are, most of you are very, butter people. Sorry, Mr. Moderator, am I allowed to use words like that, or I should be very tush-tush?
Feel free, sir.
Oh, you're allowed.
Thank you. So that these people, so that I can speak the language I understand very well as a village person. They won't think I'm from the
You are
city.
allowed to use any form of communication that helps you communicate the point very well.
Thank you very much. So in growing up, you know, we village people, when your mom sends you to buy, growing up, your mom sends you to go and buy any condiment. By the way, I will use that as an example again. When your mom sends you to go and buy any condiment or any seasoning, growing up for me, the only seasoning I know was Maggi. Even if you want to go and buy no, it will be Maggi, you will call it. Your mom will tell you, go and buy me Maggi, even though she may mean no. Why? Because by custom, it was Maggi. But that's not even the point. We will now go down, your mom tells you, oh, Folanshaw, buy me Maggi. Now, my mom has not said go to supermarket or go to this person or go to that person. Your mom just says buy. Because Malam Ishak was my go-to man. Once I get to Malam Ishak and I say, Malam, I want to buy Maggi, and he says, I don't have Maggi. Can any of you guess what I would do? I will go back home and tell my mom, there is no Maggi. Why? Malam Ishak I was his customer. I went to him by custom for everything from goody to chewing gum to everything, plaster, everything. It was Malam Ishak. So when he says he doesn't have, it never really occurred to me to cross the road to go somewhere else. It was always Malam Ishak. It's only until Malam Ishak says, no, I don't have. go to that place, they would have. That is when it occurs to me that I should go there. If Malam Ishaq does not have, then it doesn't exist. And as funny as that sounds, that is how most people actually behave when you are giving them proper service. They come to you by custom. So when you are doing your segmentation, bear in mind people who should be coming to you by custom and ensure that whatever you do, you ensure they come to you by custom. Does it make sense? But beyond that, there is one major thing that distinguishes a customer from a consumer, and that is that a customer is someone who actually pays you for the service. A customer is someone who actually pays you. The person who exchanges money with you is your customer. In that example I gave, my mom was a consumer, but I was a customer. Because I was the one that took money to Madam Ishaku. If my mom does not send me, if my mom has sent maybe my sister may not have gone to Madam Ishaku. My sister may have gone to a supermarket because she's a touch babe. So for Madam Ishaku, even though my mom was the consumer, whether you bought it from Madam Ishaku or you bought it from the supermarket, my mom will consume it for a meal. But I was Madam Ishaku's customer because from him, he is the one I go to by custom. But my sister does not go to Madam Ishaq by custom. She will go to the supermarket because she's a touch person. Does it make sense? It's the same amount of money. It's the same end user, but the customers are different. I want you to be thinking of this when you are thinking about your customer segmentation. The fact that the consumer are the same does not mean that your customers are the same. Another example I like to give in a multi-segmented environment or in a multi-market environment is a university or a school, let's take a secondary school, a primary school or a nursery school. In a nursery school, the consumers or the users are the children. But who is the customer? The parents.
The parents.
Thank you. The parents are the customers. But guess what? What I'm trying to get through here to set it up is that usually you use the consumers or you use the consumer satisfaction to get the customer. I'll take that again. If the consumer is not satisfied, you will lose the customer. If I have gone to buy Maggi from Malam once, twice, and the second time my mom says this Maggi tastes funny, the third time I may go back to Malam and say, Malam, how come your Maggi tastes funny? And he sells to me again, and my mom says the Maggi is not good. Do you think I'll be able to buy from Malam again the fifth time, even if I like Malam? I won't, because the consumer is not happy. What I'm trying to say in essence is this: I'm distinguishing from you so that when you begin to do your customer segmentation, you will pay very close attention to those who are your consumers, what you must use to get and retain your consumer because they are so important, and how you ensure that your customers keep coming to you by custom. Your customers are the ones who exchange value with you, but your consumers are the ones that must be satisfied. Does it make sense to anyone?
Exactly.
Thank you. So you reach your consumer with satisfaction so that your customers can keep coming. Sometimes your consumer and your customer are the same person. So it means that you must give both satisfaction and you must ensure consistency. With the customer, what the customer needs is consistency. What the consumer needs is satisfaction. So you use that to differentiate. I've said three things now. One, customer is the one who pays you, consumer is the one who uses. One. Two, you reach the customer with consistency. You reach the consumer with satisfaction. Because that's what is important to both of them. For example, now, the person is your customer because he can keep coming to you. If I come to you today, I want to buy Maggi, you have. Tomorrow, you don't have. Next tomorrow, you don't have. In 3 days' time, you have. 5 days' time, you don't have. After a while, I'm no longer your customer because each of those times you are not consistent, I would have had to find someone who will fill your gap. So after a while, I'm no longer coming to you. Am I making sense, please? Because these things are very key when we are defining our customers. So sometimes some people are catering to consumers and they leave out their customers. And then they say, but we are doing well, but guess what? You are not reaching your customers. So you have done well, your consumer is satisfied. They want more of what you are doing, but you are not available to reach them. Have you seen some people that you've bought something from them, you really like what they have to sell, right? But you go back there the next day, they're not there anymore. Have you not encountered people like that? Then after a while, they're not as important to you again because they did not do their definition properly. So that one is meant to be like a seg. I just segued into that. So I'll give you an example of customer consumer using schools, using Maggie and Malam. The third one is social media. For example, the customer for social media, let's bring it out to one of them, Facebook. Who is the consumer of Facebook? Okay, no, you guys are new school generation. Facebook is for old people. Okay, who is the consumer for Instagram or Twitter? Let's leave it, Instagram. Who is the consumer for Instagram? Everybody here is the consumer for Instagram. Because you don't pay Instagram, do you? You don't pay Instagram. But guess what? Your satisfaction is very important because if you're not satisfied, everybody will stop posting on Instagram. So Instagram keeps giving you features to make you feel cool, to be able to do more, spend up. Before it used to be like how many seconds? Now how many seconds can you do video? Now your video time has been expanded. So it means you can put more content on it. They're not charging you. But guess what? If you're not satisfied, you will stop posting. And when you stop posting, they will lose their powers to attract the customer. So your satisfaction is important because you're a consumer. But the customer are those who are doing advertisement. And they come there because you, the consumers, are there. In other words, in this particular case, the consumer is also the product. You are also the product they are selling. You, my brothers and sisters, are the product for Instagram that they are selling to their customers. So your satisfaction is very important to them. So I just gave those examples and I don't want it to just be a textbook definition. When you are beginning to do your segmentation, please bear in mind this definition so that you will know who is your customer and who is your consumer. And you don't go and put a consumer somewhere where you should be focusing a lot more on your customer when it comes to maybe consistency or mode of payment and all that. Let me move on very quickly because I think time is fast spent. Or if anybody has any question, please drop your questions. All right, so I will move on to what people call persona and segmentation. I want to also differentiate between the two because I've heard so many things about such things and people just use them interchangeably and all that. I don't want to do textbook definition. I want us to discuss them so that way we do not mix them up. Because I've seen some people who have read books, I've mixed them up, I've gone to do those things and it doesn't seem to be working and they are angry. Or they don't even know why because of those things. So let me differentiate them properly so that whatever it is we are doing, it works for us. Oh, by the way, if anybody is bored already, please just send me a message that you are bored so that I can look for a way to change the discussion. I don't like people being bored when I'm speaking to them. So I don't want to just talk for 1 hour and somebody is sleeping. I think somebody's already sleeping. So if you are bored, it is not your fault. It is always the fault of this person speaking. That means it's not interesting. If you are bored, just send me a personal message. I will change the discussion in a different way. All right. I want to differentiate between persona and what do you call it now? Segmentation. Because people have read meanings into them and they mix a bit. Now, persona usually, or maybe I should do that later when I've explained both of them. I think it might be good for me to. I'll do a general definition and I'll go into each of them. I think that might be better. Segmentation usually has to do with qualitative things. I want to by quantitative things. Things like you segment people based on things around age, demographics, things you can check. Oh, this person, based on the age of this person should be able to do ABC. Based on the demographic of this person or these people may be able to do this particular age range, this particular sex, this particular gender, this particular what do you call it now? Income group, this particular religious group, this particular location or geography. This, you know, things that you can, that are quantitative usually. But the most important thing about segmentation is usually focused on buying. Who is buying from me? You know, I said it at the beginning. Who is buying from me, or who am I selling to? That is, how do they behave when I'm buying or I'm selling? That is usually the focus of segmentation. But I've seen a lot of people also go into what you call the persona. The persona usually is more behavioral. But guess what? It is more about product development. So a lot of people use persona to try to do marketing. It may be possible, but really the intent of persona, when you are talking about design thinking and stuff like that, is actually to know how to design what somebody wants. It's different from how to sell to them. It's about product thinking. It's about how do I develop things that will suit them. They are both useful, but it is in how you use them. So a lot of people have gone to do persona definition and then they are focused and then still not selling, because developing products is not the same thing as selling to them. Oh, I did a persona for this kind of person. Oh, it is this person, he behaves this way, he behaves that way, he does this way, he does that. Okay, good. This person will like this kind of thing. But guess what? When it comes to the selling, segmentation may be different for the person. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that even though they share some similarities, even though they appear to make sense in the same way, but there's a very subtle but very important and distinct difference. Persona is usually when you are developing solutions for someone, or you are thinking of what will this person want, or this group of people, what would they want, what would help them. You use that a lot when you are doing designing of products for them. But segmentation is, I have a product, how would I sell to them? So persona will deal with, after I've sold to them, how would they behave? How would they use what I've sold to them? Or if before I sell to them, what kind of thing would they need? So it's before and after, but market segmentation or customer segmentation focuses a lot more on selling and buying from the customers or by the customers. And I hope that makes sense. It's just a subtle difference. As we begin to do this segmentation, it's very practical. You will see how, what some people will say, oh, segmentation is actually talking about persona. And at the end of the day, they'll do it, but it's not going to help them. So, let's talk about proper customer segmentation now. Usually we do this when you look at the product or the solution you have. Don't forget something. Before you came on the table, you already had a problem you wanted to solve. Remember that. Before you came on the table, the only reason why you are thinking of a customer in the first place is because there's something that you are uniquely designed to do. There's something that you believe you'll be able to solve. So I gave an example of, I gave the definition of what a business is. And one of the things I said there is that you are uniquely able to solve a particular problem. How many of you remember that? That you have a unique solution to that problem. But someone will say, this person is selling this, I'm also selling the same thing. What is the uniqueness there? The uniqueness is the fact that if you look at what the person is selling and how he's selling it, there must be something different. If not, there's really no difference between you and them, and you cannot say you really have a business. I'll give an example. Telecommunications. You all know that you have MTN in Nigeria today, the large three. Let's talk about the large three. You have MTN. Who else? Airtel, Glo, right? Glo. Three of them. Yeah. They all sell what appears to be the same thing, right? Am I right? They all appear to sell the same thing. Is it not?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But you know they all sell differently. That is because at the very beginning, they all defined what their market segment was at the beginning. And as times went on, they started trying to make a change. So at the beginning, how many of you can tell me, I will call you, please, let it not be chorus. I'll call like 2 or 3 people. Okay, you know what, before I go into that, let me give a mini segmentation. First, let me give a mini segmentation so you understand what all this story I've been talking about, what is even in. Example. Let me give segmentation, an example of segmentation along income or liquidity. That's one of the that's one of the ways to do segmentation. So let's take that as an example. I'll go to other ones. Along income stroke liquidity. That is one way of segmenting. I will explain what that means. Number one type of segmentation you do, income stroke liquidity. That's one way. So let me break that down. This segmentation type talks about the ability of your customer to pay. It's not everybody that wants to buy. Another thing we say when we talk about business is willingness to pay, right? So there must be the ability of your customer to pay. Do you know that some people today, if you say who wants to be a landlord, everybody in Nigeria today wants to be a landlord, right? But is there everybody that can be a landlord? No. So in doing your customer segmentation, one of the ways people know customer segmentation is to look at the ability to pay or the income stream stroke liquidity. Liquidity and income are related, but they are not the same. Let me explain very quickly. Income is how much you earn from different sources. That's income. But liquidity talks about how much cash or near cash you have at any point in time to dispose. Again, income talks about what comes to you from different sources. So, for example, if you are a 9-to-5 person, your income base would be your salary. So, salary can be 5 naira. Can be 18,000 naira minimum wage. Your salary can be 10 million naira. It is still income-based type of person, right? But the same person can also be earning money from shares. Maybe he has put some money in. So the person earning 18,000 naira, for example, no, 18,000 is too small. Let's say between 200,000 naira and 700,000 naira. The person earning 200,000 naira may end up being more liquid than the person earning 700,000 naira. What do I mean? I may be earning 200,000 naira, right? And I have no debt with any bank, right? That's 200,000 naira. That means that 200,000 naira is my money. And let's say when I finish spending money and all that, I'm not a spendthrift. Let's say for my every month spending, I have 100,000 naira left. Now that 100,000 naira that I have left is how liquid I am. That means if you tell me today, hey, there's an opportunity for you to put your money in this 100,000 naira, or there's an opportunity to buy something, I have 100,000 naira that I can use for it. I may choose not to use it, it's a different issue, but I have that 100,000 naira available. But the person earning 700,000 naira, in case he has taken mortgage from the bank, and the bank is taking 600K of the 700,000 naira from him every month, even though he's earning 700,000 naira, but the bank has collected 600,000 naira from him. That means that he only has 100K to spend every month. Now, let's assume that his 100K every month is not even enough to meet his needs. So that means that that person is not liquid, even though he's earning more income, is 700, but his liquidity is negative. But the person earning 200K, his income is lower, but the liquidity is higher. Have I explained the difference between liquidity and income?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So one of the segmentation we use in customer segmentation, one of them is income stroke liquidity. Now, under this income stroke liquidity, there are 3 levels of the segmentation, and I want to say them very quickly and explain. Just one example when you are doing your segmentation, and then we can use those 3 sub-segments to talk about different types of we'll use them in different scenarios, and then we'll go to another segmentation again. Number 1, under income stroke liquid segmentation, is what you call the high income liquid. High income stroke liquid customer. Is anybody hearing me? High income stroke liquid customer. That means his income is high and is very liquid. Number 2, you have mid-income stroke illiquid. I will write it here. I will write it on the whatever. Mid-income illiquid. So number 1 is high income liquid. I hope you can all see what I'm writing. Number 2 is mid-income liquid. Number 3 is low-income illiquid. Can you all see the 3 levels now? Oh, it's not showing. Is it showing?
It's showing.
Yes, it is.
Shinelo says it cannot see it though.
I can't see it too.
Look at the chat box.
Okay.
I'm writing again. Number 1 is high income liquid. Number 2 is mid income Sorry, at the end of the day, I'm going to tie all this together, but I think it's important that we all see this. And then number 3 is low income illiquid. So I've pasted all 3 now. Can you see it now?
I still cannot. But there's no problem. I'm taking notes.
Okay. But can others see it?
I believe it's in the chat box.
Yes,
Yes,
we
it's
can.
in the chat box.
And you
Yes, we can.
You can.
Yes, it's clear.
Okay.
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. So let's
All right.
take now. This is the standard definition, but let me now go to the characteristics of this high income liquid, mid income illiquid, and low income illiquid. First of all, let me explain the difference. Like I said, liquid means how much cash. It's more like how much disposable cash you have. That's what it means, liquid. When you say, oh boy, you are liquid, or bros, you are liquid, it means you have cash to go around. Income is what comes in from different revenue sources that you have in your life. You can be a banker and make more money from farm than you make from your banking. And your guy will be wondering, how come this guy is spending so much money? Is he stealing our money in the bank? But you can show them, okay, I have 50 hectares of farm that is bringing me more money than even the GM is earning, for example. So that is income. But income is not always exactly the same thing as liquidity. You can have high income and still be illiquid. But it's very unlikely, and I will explain what I mean. Because when you say high income, there's a level you get to that is called high income. As long as you are illiquid, the best you can be is what you call mid income. So I'll give an example. High income liquid people are those who have different revenue sources and also have access to funds. For example, when everybody says Mr. Dangote is the richest man in Africa, not everybody, most people believe that Dangote just has a pile of cash sitting somewhere. But that's not true. He's a businessman. It's not likely you will see him have cash sitting somewhere not doing any work. No. What he does is that he's very liquid, which means he has access to cash. It does not mean that he has cash sitting somewhere. In fact, I'm almost certain that his companies are owing the banks more than any other person seated here put together. In dollars, not even in naira. But guess what? It's very liquid, which means that if he needs cash right now, he can get access to cash. Not necessarily his own cash, but he has access to cash. So that's a liquid person. So if you are high income, really high income, more often than not, you are very liquid. The problem is usually with the mid-income people. Oh, I am earning 1 million naira. Yes, 1 million naira is considered good, but it's still mid-income. Yes, it is good, but it's still mid-income. Because the 1 million naira you are earning, your spending may be as high as 2 million, depending on how much of spendthrift you are or what you have been owing before you started earning 1 million. You know? Because when you start earning 1 million, somebody will start telling you to go and get a house in Banana Island because you're a big boy now, or to go and buy a Phantom because you're a big boy, and you two go and spend the money. So all of a sudden you become illiquid. And I'll explain why that happens actually. It's actually a phenomenon, actually. Okay? Then you now have the low income illiquid. Low income are those who are still, what you earn is not even enough So take care of what you spend. Again, quick rundown. Low income illiquid means you are earning something, but it's not enough to meet your needs regularly. That's low income illiquid. Mid income illiquid is you are earning enough to meet your needs, but not necessarily your aspiration. Again, low income is you are earning, but not necessarily enough to meet your needs. Mid income is you are earning enough to meet your needs, but not necessarily enough to meet your aspiration. High income liquid are usually those who are earning enough to meet both their needs and aspiration and have access to cash. I hope that definition is correct. I mean, is clear. So now let's look at the behavior, because it is now how they behave that you will spend to them, or what their, let me put it, their characteristics is what defines how you can sell. You know, at the end of the day, it's about selling. I hope you know that. That's what we said at the beginning. Customer segmentation is focused on who is buying from you and what do they need. How do you need to position to buy, for them to buy from you or for you to sell to them? So let us face it. What are the characteristics of high income liquid people? Number one, they don't buy based on cost. In fact, if you go to them and sell on cost, sometimes you may lose them. I'm going to go back to the telecoms later. I'm just using this as the segmentation. Then we'll now use telecom as an example. They don't buy based on cost. If you go to them to sell on cost, more often than not, you may even lose them. They are not as cost sensitive or as price sensitive as other people are. That's number one. Number two, they buy comfort, not necessarily your product. What they buy is comfort. What they buy is beauty. What they buy is peace of mind, not necessarily your product. Please, again, let me state that because it's very important. What they are buying, whatever product you are selling, that you or service you think you are selling, what you must be selling to them is comfort, peace of mind, beauty, or what you might call when you place people in a particular class, what do you call them now? What do you call that now? For want of better, let me just say class. What you are selling to them is class. Am I making sense, please? That is what you sell to them. That is what they are buying. You don't go and sell tuber of yam to them and say, Oga, I am bringing you 1,000 yams of, 1,000 tubers of yam, and it's only going to be 10K. In fact, it's the best you get in the world. They will look at you and say, I don't even eat that much. But if you sell, I'm jumping ahead of myself. That's what they buy. Let me go to the mid-income illiquid. The mid-income illiquid people, do you know what they buy? They buy aspiration. I'm beginning to earn 1 million naira now. Oh boy, I need to buy. Before I was using a Toyota Corolla. How would they know my money has been increased in the bank? How would they know that I'm now a mini big boy? I used to live in Ikorodu. All of a sudden, 1 million naira a month. Oh, but that's not, it's easy to come by. How would they know? That's when your 2-bedroom flat is no longer okay for you in Ikorodu. Then you now say, how much am I even paying? Say 150K. I can afford that. Please find me a house in Lekki, and it must be 3-bedroom. And then they tell you, okay, 3-bedroom flat in Lekki is costing maybe like 750K. Like, it's not bad. And that's when you begin to give all the reasons why Ikorodu is a horrible place. That's when you get home. Before, maybe to get to Ikorodu, in Ikorodu, maybe you used to get home at 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. All of a sudden, when you get to Ikorodu, there's one hold up. You say, that's what I'm talking about. This place is just a useless place. All of a sudden, the place you used to get to at 11 p.m. and you are okay with, all of a sudden, when you get to at 9 p.m., this is just unacceptable. I cannot continue like this. It's not you speaking. It's that 1 million that is speaking. You know? So what you are buying is aspiration. That car that has been taking you faithfully from, from VI, when you go to work in the morning, that once in a while to break down 3rd Mainland Bridge, You will thank God for the car, at least. You will pour water in it and move on till you get to Ikeja, where you are staying in a big queue. All of a sudden, what are you talking about? This car will not even stop disgracing somebody. Then your babe or your friends will start saying, oh boy, spend this money. And I say, well, that's true. I got a Camry. I'm talking of the muzzle. The muzzle is not bad. That's when you begin to say, well, they say the muzzle is 1.2 million. No, well, it's not as expensive. Meanwhile, somebody had mentioned muzzle before to you when you were earning like your 200K. You would have told the person is from your village that he should depart from you, devil. But now it's not as, so you buy aspiration when you become mid-income illiquid. You buy aspiration. So when somebody wants to sell to you, if the person begins to come and sell products to you that is not aspirational, more often than not, you will lose the person. That's when have you noticed that people who are mid-income illiquid are the ones that want to go for holiday the most? You say, oh, I need to go for holiday this year. When they've increased your money to 1 million, man, I need to go for holiday this year. That's when your wife is like, we didn't go to Dubai this year now, so don't worry. It's the 1 million speaking now. So when he say, how many went on Dubai? How many went on vacation last year? Oh, my wife and I did. And then you now say, oh, well, we don't want economy anymore. We want business. You start to, so you see that's why mid-income illiquid people, that's why they are illiquid, because they are always going to be spending a lot more than they are earning because they can pay back over time. Please, does this make sense? Or, well, I'm saying that these are the characteristics of the different segments. And it's based on that characteristic that you will sell. So somebody who was living in Ikorodu, I'm not saying Ikorodu is a bad place, so don't get me wrong, please. If you put this out there, I am not talking down Ikorodu, please. I'm not talking down Ikorodu or anywhere for that matter. I'm just for the sake of speaking, please. I don't want anyone to attack me later. Someone who's staying in a place and yes, he will complain, but he will live with it. All of a sudden, because of aspiration, you will now calculate how long would it take me to pay back. That is the mindset of mid-income illiquid. It's not how much do I have, it's how quickly can I pay back. They spend into the future. That is one of the characteristics of mid-income illiquid people. Because they will consider, I have this money. If I'm earning 1 million and you tell me something is going to cost me 1.2 million and I think I can do it, the mid-income illiquid people are always thinking, by the end of next year, I would have finished paying down. As long as it is aspirational and it puts them a bit ahead of what they are earning, they are more inclined to taking it. So when you are segmenting your customer and you want to know what is important to sell to them or how you will position your solution to them, you will position it based on an aspirational basis, not just on a product basis. But now let's go to the low-income illiquid people. Low-income illiquid people just want to break bulk. They just want to, one, they do aspiration, but that is secondary. Can anybody hear me clearly, please?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm getting
yes, sir.
Okay, I'm getting
yes,
some
sir.
feedback.
Yes,
Can I hear you?
Okay, they buy aspiration, but not all the time. First and foremost, they buy bulk or they break bulk. What I mean is this. First and foremost, people who are who are low income illiquid, one, they want to buy survival. Two, they want to buy existence. And three, they buy aspiration. What do I mean by that? Survival in the sense that, hey, Peak Milk was selling only Peak Milk as 5 naira, sorry, as 50 naira, 100 naira in the tin. I don't know how many of you remember back then where Peak used to be only sold in tin cans. But then someone said, yeah, the people who are low income illiquid may not be able to buy tin, but they want to take milk as well. So what did Cowbell do? Cowbell came in and started selling the same thing in sachet. Now, that went into it's the same product, but the uniqueness of Peak, sachet, what do you call these? The people doing sachet, Cowbell, was that they brought it down to survivor, so they broke the bulk. What? I'm getting a lot of feedback.
Please, do not stop your mic.
I'm getting a lot of feedback. Okay,
you can
so
go ahead, please. They have been
thank
muted.
you. Thank you. You know, so the man came and Cowbell came and said, yes, people who are low income illiquid also need to have basic calcium in their system. So what did they do? They broke the bulk one. So low income illiquid people buy bulk and they are price sensitive, they are cost sensitive, and they break bulk. So if you are selling to low income illiquid people, think more of bulk breaking, think more of survival existence, and then add some aspiration to it. I just gave those examples. So when you are selling to high income liquid people, you're not selling price. Sometimes when you sell price to them, you put them off. You are selling convenience. You are selling class. You are selling comfort. Right? For mid-income, you are selling more aspiration, actually. Yes, there's product. They can be price sensitive too. In fact, they are the most price sensitive, actually. They are very price sensitive. But guess what? You can get them by aspiration. So that's more than what is important to them. Then lastly, low-income illiquid people, they buy existence, they buy survival, but then you can sell aspiration to them as well, as long as you can break bulk for them. It's not likely that low-income illiquid people want to go to America and pay for it over 1 year. It's not likely. But if America today, I can go to America today and pay over 10 years, low-income illiquid people will go because you have broken bulk for them. But the people that can pay for you, that can pay for 1 year right now, are mid-income illiquid people. Because even though they may not be able to pay for the aspiration one time, they have met their basic needs and they can now aspire. I hope this segmentation makes sense. This is just one type of segmentation. So let's look at an example of how this affects how the telecoms organization did their own and see what mistakes some people made in the past. So we mentioned 3 organizations, MTN, Airtel, and Glo. Can you guys tell me of these 3, where Glo started from? Let me call. Ekemini. Ekemini. It's not there. Okay. Joseph, hey up. Okay. So
they started with the high class.
You mean who is speaking now?
Hey up, Joseph.
Okay, hey up, thank you. You said
Glo started with the high class before breaking it down.
Glo started with the high class. How many people agree with him? If you agree with him, say yes. If you agree, say okay. If you don't agree, say no.
Yes.
No.
Okay.
No,
Who
I
says?
don't agree.
Okay, you know
No,
what? Okay, I'll call 3
No.
people I can see. I'll call 3 people I can see very quickly. Ojomo, sorry. Toib.
Hello, sir.
Yes, I'm with you.
Yes, Toib. Do you agree with him? Yes or no? Just yes or no.
No, I don't.
Thank you. Ifunanya, do you agree? Yes or no?
No, I don't.
Okay, thank you. Shinan Job, do you agree? Yes or no?
Well, I don't have any background knowledge on telecommunications, so
Okay,
I can't just.
No problem. We'll go back to that. Abdurazak Suleiman, do you agree? Yes or no?
No, I don't agree with that.
Thank you. Edoja, John, do you agree?
No, I don't agree with that.
Thank you. So I think I agree with those who do not agree, because the reason that Glo was very successful was that from the very beginning, Glo was so clear that it was focusing on low-income illiquid. It was very clear. In fact, I don't know how many of you remember the advert, Ayangayaga, and say they were always talking to the motorcyclist. That's why they started the per second billing. How many of you remember per second billing? Glo started per second billing because they were focusing on low-income illiquid. The high-income liquid people did not care whether it was per second billing or not. In fact, it was a class thing. When it started, they would tell you to come and buy SIM card for 50,000 naira. The high-income liquid people did not have any problem. In fact, they will buy it and go and buy some very funny looking phone for maybe like 200K. And they will tell you, do you have a phone? In fact, before you say anything, they whip out their phone to show you that, oh boy, we're not in the same class. How many of you remember that? They will whip up their phone. Before you, in fact, they're not saying anything you're not saying anything about phone, no. Not for you to know that they have a phone and you don't have. They will whip up their phone and they will call in a number that does not exist. That is high income liquid because they were buying convenience. They were buying class. We were the first to do this. So when they're even speaking with you, they'll say, oh, when it came out, I remember my first phone, it was about 200K. My SIM card was about 60K. You know, but guess what? That was not what Glo was focusing on. Glo insisted that their per second billing came online. In fact, that was what they launched with. Why? They were going, and if you look at all their adverts were always targeted towards mobile, Molue people, motorcycle people, people in different, do you get? They were very clear. Now, were they right or wrong? That's not the issue. They were very clear in their customer segmentation. Our primary customer base were the masses, were the low income, illiquid people. They were interested in, and in one day, their whatever was so full because they brought it down to everybody, the mechanic, not because they were right or wrong, but guess what? They were clear. Second, who can tell me what MTN was when they started? Oye Wale, I think. Akin.
Yeah, Akitonde. Yeah, I would say they were. Yeah, I would say they were focusing on the high income guys, or maybe a high income, mid income range, because I can still remember that their SIM cards are usually used to be very expensive back then. So I would say they started out on that note.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Chi Nonyerem Ezem. Do you agree with him?
Yeah. Yes, I agree with him. I remember my dad bought that kind of thing then. It was in a.
So he's high income liquid person.
Yeah. No, not. But I remember the
people that will bring out their phone
and all. No.
Okay. Jimeto Victor, do you agree with him? Thank you, Chinarem.
Yes, I agree with him. Okay. I could remember then when SIM card was still around 35,000 and likes. Yes, sir.
James Abiose, do you agree? James is not with us. Okay. Oludare Olusonya, do you agree? So that we can move on.
Yes, sir. Dari, okay, Dari respond.
Okay, do you agree, Dari?
Yes, I do agree.
Okay, awesome. You know that MTN has been relatively consistent. Even if you look at the advert of MTN, even till now, even when they were doing low, even when MTN, because things have, like I said, you start to change as your business changes. You begin to look at, like I said, your business model canvas is not fixed. It just helps you to focus, to get the big bang for your money, to get the biggest bang for your buck. And as you begin to learn, you begin to diversify as you go along. But when they started, even till now, MTN is trying very hard to stay at the high income liquid and the mid income illiquid level. But of course, because the environment is now saturated, they try to do low illiquid as. Can anybody hear me? Hello?
Yes, I can.
I can.
Yes.
I can hear you.
Hello?
I hear you.
We can hear you, sir.
I hear you.
No, we can hear you.
Hello, can anybody hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, you can hear me. All right, good. Thanks. Yes. I cannot hear anybody again. Okay, good. So, when MTN started, if you check all their adverts, it was
I think we've lost the facilitator. Let's just wait a bit for him.
He's back online.
Okay.
He's back online.
Hello, I'm sorry, please. Someone was trying to call me. Apologies, please. Okay. So if you look at MTN at that time, they were so super focused on high income liquid people and a bit of the mid-income illiquid people. They were doing a lot more of business focused thing. They will have the business suite, they have this, they have that. They were focused a lot on the businesses. And then as time went on, of course, they are saturated that market, they now started focus. And that's what focus allows you to do when you're doing customer segmentation. You get the biggest bang for your buck. Then you now have Airtel. Let's start with Airtel. By the way, you know, Airtel did not start their name as Airtel. They started as Econet Wireless. Am I right? Check. I think it was Econet Wireless.
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you. Now, if you notice, okay, before I give my judgment, who can tell me what Econet Wireless started with? Who knows their story a little bit that can say nobody? Shilen is just shaking his head. Job, like, man, I know nothing about these guys, man. No problem. Let me see. Onye Adiele. Is he there? Or she?
Sir, Onye is part of the technical team. She's not able to.
Forgive me. Gabriel Chiogo?
Same.
Okay, so that means I have to default to the people I'm seeing on my what do you call it. So I'll keep going back to the same set of people. Let me go back to Ifunanya then. Okay, so Ifunanya, what do you think Econet started with?
I feel like they started with the mid-income illiquid, and then when as time went on, they started focusing on the low-income illiquid too.
Okay, thank you. Oyewale, sorry. What do you think?
So I'm not really sure. I just remember they've changed their name severally, but I can't say what exactly.
Thank you very much. Yetunde Boluwatife. Thank you very much, Oyewale. What do you think?
I really don't know much about Econet.
Thank you very much. In fact, thank you very much. Your answer says it all. That is what happens when you are not clear about your customer segmentation from the beginning. It's still one of the problems that Airtel is suffering from today. The problem is not which segment you choose. The problem is taking a stand on a segment, because it is that stand on a segment that would determine what you do with your customer relationship. It would determine what you do with your channels. It will determine how you will position your customer value proposition. It is what will determine the kind of partnership you go into. It is what will determine your cost structure. It is what will determine the channels you want to reach your customer. If you are reaching a low-income and liquid people with only web-based channel, you have failed, because most of them do not have access to web-based channels. Do you get my point? And that's why your customer segmentation is so key from the beginning. What you have all said today is just symptomatic of the real issues. Till today, even in business schools, they will tell you exactly what you have said. If you ask 50 people, where did MTN start from in their customer segmentation? It was very clear. It was high-income liquid people. When you ask 50 people, 48 people will tell you Glo started with the low-income illiquid people. When you ask 50 people, where did Airtel start from, or what was their focus when they started as Econet? 25 of them will tell you it is high income. 25 of them will tell you it is low income. 25 of them will tell you mid income. So who were they servicing? Everybody was just confused. And that is why, if you look at them when they started, because there was no competition in quotes, they rose very quickly. But once Glo came in, within how many weeks of Glo coming in, Glo overtook them. Why? It was very clear. My point in using that example is to let you know that your customer segmentation is so important that if you miss it, every other thing will take a nosedive, irrespective of how hard you work, irrespective of how much money you have, irrespective of how much resource you have, irrespective of where you are coming from. Your customer segmentation is extremely important. Until today, Airtel, as they are still suffering heavily for it. They are trying very hard now to change it, but because the market is still confused. Whatever segment you choose, it will drive everything. Whatever customer segmentation will drive everything. So please spend your money, energy, and time to do this part very well. And own it. Whatever you decide, own it. Worst case scenario, you will learn what works and what does not work. But don't jump halfway here, halfway there, and then you are confused. And in confusing yourself, you also confuse your customer. So that when you even come back, they still cannot get themselves. That's why I gave that example. Does this make sense to anyone? I know people will be asking, what has this got to do with agriculture that I'm talking about? Sir. But it does. Simply because the reason I'm giving an example of what you already know that is pervasive is so that when we come into your own segmentation, you can begin to see how things are very similar in the things you do. So for example, you are doing agriculture. So let's bring it out a little bit. There's still that segmentation we're going to. I don't know how many minutes I've got left so that I will know how quickly to speed up or to slow down.
Actually, we should have 3 minutes actually, but maybe you want to take a few extra minutes just to wrap up. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just take 2 minutes.
And there are some questions for you.
Okay. Oh, that question time also includes my 2 hours. Oh boy. Okay, now. Sorry. Let me just rush then. Oh boy. Okay. I talked about other customer segmentation using clustering system, which is what I was using with the income liquidity. So let's talk about demographics. Okay. Now, when you talk about income liquidity and income stroke liquidity, I didn't talk about age at all. Remember, I just talk about their ability to spend and what they spend on. But then you can have under segmentation again, you can talk about demographics. Now, demographics, we talk about things around, I talk about quantitative things like the age, the sex, the what do you call it now? Gender, which is sex anyway. The location, geography. So let me give a small example very quickly. So let me say Chinonyerem. Let me assume that you have a farm in Enugu State. I'm just assuming you have a farm in Enugu State. Let me see. Which state borders? Okay, let me say Taraba. I think it's better. Taraba borders Yobe, right? Taraba borders Yobe. It also borders. Please, if I'm wrong, all right, correct me. Oh, Adamawa is the one that borders Yobe, right? Adamawa is the one that borders Yobe. Okay. You have a piggery in Adamawa, right? You have a piggery in Adamawa, and you are very close to Yobe, and you are making plans to sell your piggery and your pigs into Yobe. Very nice because hey, it's very close to you. There are a lot of people there and all that. But then you were also thinking about Lagos, but Lagos is very far from Adamawa, is it not? It's very far. The cost of taking your pigs to Lagos is very far and all that. So, Chinonye, very quickly, would you sell your pigs to Yobe, that is very close to you, or come and sell in Lagos with all their attendant costs, the wahala of putting it on the road, even getting to Lagos and getting a stall or getting people to buy and all that? Where would you sell to very quickly and why? I can't hear you. Your mic is off. Don't off your mic.
Her mic is not muted. I think she may be having issues communicating.
Okay. Let me go to Yetunde quickly.
Okay, sir. I think I'll first consider I'll consider things surrounding it actually. Like, I'll be taking Lagos. That means I'm not going to sell it the same amount. I'm going to sell it then Adamawa or the North. So I'll consider, okay, will I be making much more gain if I'll be transporting it? Of course, I have to calculate transportation and other things that may be involved. Then I'll try to analyze, okay, if I take it to Lagos, will I still make much gain than selling it to people right in Adamawa or maybe?
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Yetunde. You're not hitting the point I want to make. But thanks. What you say makes sense, but you're not hitting the point I was expecting. Let me go to Abdulrazak Suleiman quickly.
I would prefer taking the market to Lagos.
Why?
Because for what? Why? Because the market for piggery in the north is not acceptable like in the western.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You've answered my question. Demography tells you simple things like don't plant for a pig in a place where religion does not allow it. Pure and simple. Even if somebody says he wants to buy from you, it will not be in your interest to be planning to sell there because even from taking it from where you are to the market, you can be in danger of being picked up by religious police under the rule you are working on. So that's where demographic also comes in. I just give an example, a very quick example. It may not be perfect, but things as simple as that. You need to be environmentally aware. That's under demography. To say, in the location I am in, that's one of the things you consider in demography. In the location I am in, it is a no-no, not because it is not a good, not because it is not something I can sell, but religion is one of the demographic whatever, does not allow it. So don't even plan for it, no matter how sensible it may seem to you. So it's just an example of how your customer segmentation will be affected by demographic issues. Do you understand? Let's say, for example, now you make hats. You make all these millennial hats and all that. And then you still make this our church mommy hat. You know that it's not going to sell in Lagos because all the babes in Lagos are very trendy. But if you take the same, whatever, you take it to my village, you may be a millionaire because they still wear those mommy type of hats. Let me give you an example. I was shocked. I don't know how many of you remember this cream. Hi, it's not Unku. Oh boy, there's one yellow cream. When I was growing up, it used to be called Laide. Yellow is in one big, whatever, like transparent, whatever, yellowish cream. I hadn't seen that cream in over almost 30 years. But then I was shocked to find out some 10 years ago when I went to, I think it was PZ or so, and I found out they were still making it. And they told me that when they make those creams, they were only selling exclusively to the north because of the harsh weather. Because that thing, if you put it on your body, it's like you are putting what do you call it now? Diesel on your body. It's very rubbery on the body. But I was shocked. They were still making it in drones and taking it to the north. Why? They already had the machinery in Lagos, but they had a customer segment in the north. Assuming they now brought in a very smart manager who says, no, we must sell this into Lagos, we must sell it in Lagos. It will never sell. It would never sell because people will see in Lagos and say, me, will you this one? No. Why? The environment does not require. But if you go and bring a Mac product from America and show it to the babes in Lagos, they will buy it because it is also aspirational. Most people in Lagos live aspirationally. Most people in Lagos live aspirationally. I earn 50K. I want to move to Shomolu. By the time they move it to 100K, I move to Bagada. By the time they move my money to 200K, I'm in VI. Oh, sorry, I'm in Lekki. Everybody in Lagos lives aspirationally because the more aspirationally you live, the more money comes to you in quotes. That's why even Yahoo boys move to Yahoo Plus. You know, because everybody is living aspirationally. Sorry, I'm just joking there. Anyway, so demography is one other area. I'm using this even when you are doing your farming segmentation, think about those things. Then you have the market types, which is where I come to what Ifunanya said the other time. What kind of market do you have? Are you in a niche market where it's not everybody that can do what you can do? Usually for niche market, it is not mass market, one. Two, it is very unique. You whatever product or solution you are selling, you tailor make it to those people. And so they pay you a premium. So volume is not necessarily what you are after. You are after premium. That's what happens in niche markets. Because not everybody that can do what you do. So sometimes it takes you a much longer time to sell. But once you sell, you are able to sell at a premium. Where everybody is making 1 naira, 2 naira on their product, a single sale for you may be 5,000 naira margin for you. But it takes a lot longer time to sell. The volume of people you can sell to is much lower. So think about it if you are using this market type of segmentation. Under market type of segmentation, you have what you call the diversified market, or what you might call the mass market. That means you are doing several things to several people. And the danger in that is that your product must become a commodity. If it's not a commodity is something that can be gotten easily. So what gives you money when you are selling commodity is your what's called now, your margin is quite low, but volume is key to you. Now, under the diversified market as well, there's also a slight difference where you can do different things for different people under the mass market. So I sell I sell cassava to this person, but under the same one, I'm also doing gari on one side and selling gari to another set of people. You know, so you can sell cassava, you can also sell gari. For you, you have the base product, which is cassava, right? You can sell cassava to some people, you can sell gari to some people. You can sell gari, you can sell other flakes to some people. You can even sell the water for cyanide to some people, you know, depending on what, or you can sell starch to some people, you know. So in that diversified market, you are doing several things, but the danger in that is if your system is not configured properly, you end up having a problem. You may be taking money from a good segment and throwing it after a bad segment if you are not careful. Think deeply about it. And then the last one is what you call the segmented market, where you sell to just you take just one product or one service, you know, and you look into a particular area. Now, there's a slight difference between niche market and segmentation. Niche is, I can have several products, but I'm focusing on a particular set of people. Segmented market is different. It's like saying, hey, I give A to this, I give B to this. You may not even know I'm the same person. You know, but I give A to this, I give B to this. They may not know I'm the same person. So there are different names under which I sell different things, and nobody even knows it's the same me. Does it make sense, or you don't understand? If Funaya does not seem to understand what I said there, she's disagreeing.
It makes sense.
Okay. Because I'm going to ask you a question.
I'm sorry, I don't really understand the difference between the segmented and niche.
Okay, so let me give an example of niche. So niche says, I am going to sell starch. I have cassava, but I'm not going to sell cassava. I'm only selling starch, and that is it. Everybody who comes to me, I have the cassava, but I'm not going to sell cassava to anybody. I have chosen to sell only starch, and I am known as a starch provider in Nigeria. So that's, everybody knows me. When they call my name, it's the starch. If they call me Mr. Starch. But guess what? It is not starch I started with. I have cassava now. Do you understand? With the same cassava, I can make gari. With the same cassava, I can do whatever. That is niche. I am Mr. Starch. That is niche. But segmentation is saying, I take my starch, I sell to this person. But then I use a different name, right? And I, what do you call it now? I package the cassava. I sell to another person, but it's not going to be seen as the same person. Do you get my point? I have packaged, let's say I use a name and say Inoka for cassava. When they hear, and for starch, when they hear Inoka, say, Mr. Inoka, man, he's the man, top-notch starch. Nobody can beat him in Nigeria. But guess what? In the same vein, I use my cassava, I break it down, maybe I make gari, and I'll sell it as gari kuli to every other person. They don't even know it's the same company in the background that is doing that. Does it make sense? So I've segmented it so that nobody even knows who is doing what. So if anything happens to my starch company, my cassava can continue, and nobody will even say it is the same company, because I'm not using the same brand for them. I'm tempted to go on, but let me stop here. Let me stop here, and I'm sure by the time you ask questions, we'll be able to cover the other areas, because I actually want to break it down to what you do in your own particular area of farming, where I think it's very important for you to, in your segmentation, to look at not just the base farming, but value add. I think that is extremely important, even before you start to do your segmentation, whatever it is you are doing. Yes, you can be doing the base, but in the long run, where the value is to yourself, to the company, to the nation, and even to SAID and CBN is in your ability to value add. And I think it's very important to, while you are doing what you are doing, to think about how you do value add even in your, before you do your segmentation. I think I've taken more than enough time. Thanks for allowing me to speak to you, and I'm sorry if I bored anyone. I'm sorry if I went out of line with anyone. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you very much, sir.
Yes,
Thank you very
Sir?
much, sir.
Questions?
All right, so we'll have to round up this meeting. Oh, I was thinking that the questions could be dropped in the question box, and then we'll get it to the facilitator, and then the replies will also be returned to the.
Yeah, that can be done. But I think we just have two. He can just answer those two questions before we round up.
All right, sir.
So there's a question here. Is there a difference between income and revenue from Chiamaka Ikechukwu?
Okay, they are used interchangeably. Revenue is usually used by by British people like Nigerians. Income is usually by Americans, right? So they're basically the same. But usually also you use revenue when it comes to accounting issues, but income is used both in accounting and in daily lives. So, for example, if I say as a person, how much are you earning? I can say, what is your income, right? But in daily life, we don't say what is your revenue, even though they mean technically the same thing. Just simply means how much comes to you from any source that money comes to you. How much do you get? That's simply what it is. But you use revenue more by the British and is more in accounting. You use income more with the Americans, but sometimes they carry it to your daily lives as to what you mean. But technically, I would say they are the same.
Okay, another question. Since customer segmentation seeks to probe thoughts around being specific about who one is selling to, how do we work around some produce that seems very generic? For example, table sugar. Or can we agree that some or a few products are generic and might not need narrowing down a target market?
That's a very fantastic question. In this world, there cannot be anything that is more basic than water. And yet, people have found a way to make water not generic. So if somebody can make water not generic, you can make sugar not generic at all. My point is, you need to do the work. First of all, you need to choose. Take a side. Don't be confused.
Wow.
Is somebody saying something?
No, you can go ahead, sir.
Okay. My point is, first and foremost, please, based on your vision, choose first. Do you want to be generic or do you want to be specific? If it is generic you want to be, please don't kill yourself in trying to be specific. It is now going to determine other machineries you put around what you are doing. Don't let anybody pressure you to making your product specific. If it is generic, your mind can carry. Please go with what you can, and then as you are going, you will learn, because it's what you know that would try. But don't be so confused where you are today. You are doing generic, tomorrow you are doing specific. It can be very dangerous to you and to the health of your business. Pick one. If you are doing mass, for example, which is like the generic, everybody sell whatever, then in that case you have to be cost specific. Then you have to focus on the mass market, or what you call the low income liquid. In that case, you have to focus more on breaking bulk and all those things, because that is what will drive where you are going. But if you want to now be generic, you have to sit down and say, what can I do that when a big man sees my sugar, he will not want to buy those small ones. But guess what? In that case, I'm moving more towards convenience. I'm moving more towards comfort. I'm moving more towards class. In fact, you can even say, I'm just giving an example, and this is like a joke. I can even say, instead of giving the man 50 grams of sugar, 1 kilogram of sugar, you can say, for anybody who wants to buy my sugar, it is so specific that you can only get 10 grams of my sugar, the way it is packaged, only 10 grams, and it is for 50K. If you cannot buy it, forget it. Believe me, depending on what package you put on it, maybe you go and get one artist in America, maybe a Beyonce, to sign on your sugar. That sugar will sell for 50K. People will be begging you for itself. It is the same sugar, but like I gave an example of water. What's the difference between the water that you pay 500 naira for in a restaurant and the one you buy in sachet water? It's water. In fact, let's even remove sachet, because you can say, oh, that one may be dirty. No. Seaway. What's the difference between Seaway and the other one you pay whatever for? Truth is that Seaway found a way to brand the same water that these other guys will sell to. So Seaway sells for it for 650, 700. Meanwhile, this other person is still struggling to sell for 300 naira. And then some people are even struggling to even sell 100 naira at all. So my point is, you must make up your mind first where you want to play, what kind of segmentation is important to you, then every other thing that you need to push it that way will be important. Example I gave of Beyonce signing, you may think it's a joke. Tomorrow somebody will bring the same Beyonce to sign a single sugar. Just 1 cube of sugar, put in a small line and sign Beyonce. You'll be surprised, some people will bid for that same brand of sugar, 1 million naira, and the people will buy it. Why? Class. Do you have Beyonce's signature? And that's what they've sold.
All right, we have a hand up. I believe that's Augustine Wafo. Do you want to ask a question? All right, go ahead, please.
Okay. So my question is, if you have, how do you properly do customer segmentation when, let's say, your product is new to the market? Say, when a phone was invented, or a TV or a computer the first time, for example, how do you properly do customer segmentation if what you're bringing to the market is new?
Okay, so there are 2 ways to do that. Number 1 is what I call the Steve Jobs model. And number 2 is what I call the marketing model. Steve Jobs model that I talk about is to say, you that you are bringing that product, determine where you want to put it. You are the one determining where you want to put it. Forget what the whole world is saying. You are the ones that determines where you want to put it. Like I said, don't forget one thing. The reason you are doing this, you want to drive where you are going. It is what you tell people that they believe. But guess what? Your statement or your communication must be consistent. Your communication must be, so the Steve Jobs model is the one that says, we tell people what they want to hear. In fact, most people don't even know what they want to hear until you have told them. That's what I call the Steve Jobs model, where it's coming for the first time. You say, you know what, this solution I have, I don't want to put it in mass market. I want to put it in niche, for example. So if I want to put it in niche, the question will now be, what must I do? What communication must I have? What is my proposition I'm giving to the whole world that will make it look so exclusive that only a few people want to buy it? And those people are the ones that have money. How do I target them? Who are the partners I must go with? So that when I mention my partners, then they say, oh boy, it's not for everybody. Oh. Do you get my point? You are the ones driving the narrative. It's not what the customer is asking for. You are the one driving the narrative. That's what I call the Steve Jobs model. The other one is now where you do a customer services, or what I call the market system, where you will go through the standard ways everybody knows how to do it. You do a customer survey, you will do a validation process, you will get a consultant to do what do you call it, you do sampling, you do all those things. That's the other model you can use, and then based on that, you now say, okay, most people would rather pay for this and all that. But sometimes, even water, you can come up with it and say, this is how I want to target it. And you'll be surprised. It is about the communication, and it's about how you position and make sure that everything is saying the same thing and is targeting the right segment. You'll be surprised. You will even make more money than the other people. Does it make sense, please?
Very well, sir. It's phenomenal.
Thank you. So you need to choose.
So with this, we'll be drawing the session to a close. Thank you so much, Mr. Folorunshorali. I'm speechless, as it were. I gained a lot, and I believe every other participant did. After this session, we're going to reconvene again by 1:45 p.m. for the afternoon session. There's a post-evaluation form at the platform. We'd like you to go and review the session you just had now and score it accordingly. And the evaluation link will also be put on the WhatsApp group chat for easy accessibility, but you can also use the platform as well. With that, I think we are done, and thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone. Once again, sorry for coming in a bit late. I wish you all the best, and I pray that, look at what you are doing right now more as you are doing this to save Nigeria, not just as something to make money from. The whole nation is waiting for you to succeed so that we can get out of this quagmire we are in. I'm rooting for you. All the very best. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Folorunshorali.
Thank you so much, sir. On behalf of all of us at Said Connect and BATNF, we are very grateful that you've taken this time out to share your knowledge with us. The passion is clear. By the way, he's going to be one of the mentors of whoever wins. So if you want to be mentored by him and get full-time support, make sure you win. Make sure you win the grant. We look forward to tapping into your knowledge now and again. Thank you so, so much for your depth of insight and wisdom.
Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful day.
Yeah, all right.
Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, like Daniel has said, make sure you complete the possession evaluation form. There's a link on the platform. There's also another one in the group already. See you again at...
and also feel free to do more research on what you've learned, the customer evaluation segment, for more knowledge on that.
Oh, also, I noticed that the team has also put there's a video on an introduction to the business model canvas. So if you go to the virtual bootcamp platform, under this lesson, you'll see that there's an introduction, there's a short video introduction to the business model canvas. So you can easily just go there and check it out. The recording for this session will also be put up very soon as we get it. And we'll let you know when all of these recordings are on. So if you want to check out the session again, you can always do that. Thank you. See you at 1:45.